Yes, sir. Welcome to the Forever Patriots podcast. I'm your host, CJ James. This is actually the first episode of the Forever Patriots podcast. Just been a Patriot fan for my whole life. um, really wanted to start doing my own podcast with the Patriots and just break everything down. Had some thoughts about it over the last few years, but I don't know if it's just this season or just in general, kind of just inspired me to get it going. But yeah, episode one, first of many. Very grateful to have a special guest here today, Kobe from Patriots Global. Patriots Global has over 20,000 subscribers on YouTube. The Instagram page and the account on X, well over 2,000 followers on those platforms. Kobe, man, appreciate you. Appreciate you for being on, man. Thank you.
Man, I appreciate you for having me on. You kidding me? First episode, and I'm the first guest too. Got a lot of expectations to live up to.
Nah. I know you're gonna do it. You're gonna do a great job. About to have fun breaking down this team. Before we really get started, in terms of the games, give me your introduction into content creation. What made you start Patriots Global, and how's your journey going so far?
Yeah, man, I always love talking about this. So I unfortunately am not in the Boston and Massachusetts area. I'm in Pennsylvania. So I'm surrounded by Philadelphia Eagles fans. And so, I started my channel my sophomore year of high school. And I actually started doing voiceovers. I didn't even show my face because I was scared that my age and what I look like would take away from the information. And I just wanted to talk Patriots. I never thought that it would blow up into anything. I never had expectations. I just simply wanted to talk about football. And it became a huge thing. And I started to get a bunch of followers within, a month or two. I had reached my first 1,000. And I was like, all right, this is fun. And when you see the views go up, you see the subscribers go up, it starts to get a little addictive. And it just became something where in high school, I was the guy who was giving up going to parties. I was the guy giving up hanging out with friends because I was like, well, I got to make a video. As soon as news was dropping, I was rushing home. I was rushing up to the studio to make a video. And a year into it, it became a thing where I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I realized that I wanted to be a content creator, and I realized that I wanted to be a sports broadcaster one day. And so Patriots Global is just something I kept going on with. And over the years, it's really just gotten bigger and bigger. And I've been able to build an audience with, people like you who are constantly supporting and constantly love the Patriots. And, I don't view people as fans. I view people as a community. And that was my goal from day one, was to build a New England Patriots community. And that's exactly what I've done. And because of that, the channel has brought me opportunities in working with companies such as Bleacher Report. I cover the New England Patriots on the AFC East Roundtable. We're traveling, doing events, we're meeting people. And so, yeah, man, that's kind of where my content creation journey has taken me. And I also graduate in December with my bachelor's in sportscasting, just to fall back on in case.
Okay. Sportscasting. So you're trying to hopefully one of these days call a Patriots game?
Yeah, man, for sure. I was at the Super Bowl last year, so I covered the Super Bowl this past year, and then I was also at the Senior Bowl this past year. So I got to meet guys like Jackson Dart, Jaden Higgins, Jalen Knoll, Aeneas Peebles, just to name a couple of the guys who transitioned to the NFL.
Okay, what would you say would be some of the challenges in starting up a YouTube channel, starting up a platform independently?
I would say that certainly one of the biggest things is kind of that self-drive, because you have to love what you're doing. Because if you're doing it for money and you're doing it for views, you're going to flame out at some point. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't have that drive to do so, you're not going to give up what's needed in order to have this lifestyle. You're not going to build the consistency that you need in order to reach your end goals. It took me over a year of content creation. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of videos before I was able to make a single cent off of what I was doing. But it was never the goal, right? The goal was to just build a community and just have fun and just talk sports. And I think the other problem too is that you're starting to see that these big companies like NBC, NFL Network, Bleacher Report, all these massive companies are now switching over to social media and switching over to content creation. So now not only are you going up against fellow creators, but you're also going up against the big networks that already have this following. And so you have to now find unique ways to be different than not only the content creators, but you also have to find a unique way to be different than the big networks that have this following already.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that they've been transitioning to over the last few years. These big major networks, because that's just really where the demographic is at. The
Yeah.
18 to 35 age group. We're on our phones all the time. So
Yeah.
if you're able to get that, yeah, if you're able to get that audience, you're going to be successful. So that's great that you've been building this platform. Definitely inspiring as well. Just doing it independently. As you said, there's going to be a lot of challenges. There's going to be a lot of obstacles along the way, but consistency is something one thing that pointed out to me and what you said for sure. Sometimes you could maybe get a little down. Even me, I post like a couple things on on my page. I'm not just a couple views, but just the drive, just the drive to continue to keep it going. And I think, like I said, I think that's inspiring because when you create something that's yourself for yourself, and you see the benefits from it, it's always gonna pay off. So that's great. Like I said, guys, follow, subscribe, Patriots Global. I mean, I feel like if you haven't, I mean, it's probably one of the most popular Patriots channels on YouTube. I would say. I've been watching for a long time. The iconic intro, for sure.
I appreciate that.
Of course, of course. So yeah, subscribe, follow. Kobe, man, he's doing a great job. Doing a great job. All right, let's get to week 6. Patriots versus the Saints. Scored 25-19 in favor of New England. Big first half, a little bit inconsistent in the second half. What was your thoughts throughout the game about the game?
Yeah, my big thought was, damn, those damn refs, man, because if it wasn't for those damn refs, man, one of the worst officiating crews I've ever seen in my life. If it wasn't for that, man, Drake May would have went for, 350 to 400 yards, 4 to 5 touchdowns. It was another really, really good game from him, but I think you're just seeing him make those splash plays all over the field. It was, like a 53-yard touchdown and then a 61-yard touchdown to Pop that got called back. And then late in the game to seal the game, it was another 53-yard throw there to Stephon Diggs that ultimately got called back for offensive pass interference. So I think there's a lot of big plays, and I think that this team played better in this game than people will give it credit for, just looking at the box score, just looking at the final score at the end of the day. But if it wasn't for the stupid calls, I think the Patriots would have won this game a whole lot more confidently. I think that you're finally seeing these wide receivers come out a little bit, because what Drake May loved to do in college was Drake May said that he'd love to give the ball out to everybody and not hone in on one guy, because he wanted to give everybody opportunities. And I think that's what we're seeing here. And the value in having a quarterback to where he doesn't go to one specific guy has allowed this offense to have success week in and week out. When Stephon Diggs wasn't really showing that he was a wide receiver 1 caliber, before he was going 100 yards in back-to-back games, opposing defenses were looking at this Patriots team and saying, well, okay, who do we need to take away as a wide receiver? Well, we need to take away Kayshon Boutte, because that's a guy that's playing the most snaps for the Patriots offensively. That's Drake May's guy, but also we got to take away Hunter Henry. And when they started doing that, that's when Stephon Diggs got those one-on-one matchups, and Drake May was taking advantage of it. Coming into this game with Diggs having back-to-back 100-yard games, 140 roughly against Buffalo the week prior, the Saints said, we need to try to take away Stephon Diggs as much as possible. And Drake May said, okay, then I'm going to go back to Kayshon Boutte. So I think in this game, the Patriots ultimately did what they had to do. They took care of business. The defense is what I think we're going to see from the defense all year long. Frustrating moments. They're going to start off slow. They're going to get better as the game goes on. It's a bend but don't break defense. I think one area that defense does need to improve is the red zone. That's definitely one area that they are struggling. But you see that with this defense, when it gets into the third and fourth quarter, they're playing the best football of the game. And most importantly, when you need a play, when you need a turnover, they're getting it. They're averaging at least a turnover per game. They got a couple on Josh Allen. They had a couple of turnovers in this game when you needed it most in a close game. And so while you don't love some of the plays that secondary is giving up for this Pats defense, you do understand that they do have that clutch factor to them.
Yeah, it was really a tale of two halves a little bit, especially as you said in that first half. It was the most explosive we've seen this Patriots offense. I know the game against the Bills, Diggs really got a lot of yards after the catch, which is something that he's excelled his whole entire career in Minnesota, also in Buffalo, a little bit in Houston before he got hurt. So that was that was promising to me. That was something that was really good that I wanted to see, because I was waiting for us to really push the ball down the field, because teams are going to, of course, try to come down, put as many DBs out there as possible. And I was waiting for Pop Douglas to get it going. A lot of
Finally,
people,
man.
yeah, finally, a lot of people got on Pop for that Steeler game when he kind of went backwards on 4th and 2.
Mm.
But that
That
was
was
a
a terrible
wild
play.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just the game overall was crazy. But it was really great to see him get involved in this offense. I knew it was only a matter of time. He had already had a great chemistry with Drake going into last year. So I just knew once he got acclimated to the offense, once defense really put the right scheme out there on the field, that Drake was going to get the football to his guys. So that was great to see from Pop. Kayshon Boutte, we're going to just dive in a little bit more in the second segment, but just dependable, always there. Third down, sometimes fourth down, just always great hands. And now you're starting to see the touchdowns increase. I believe he has three touchdowns now on the season. And I just think that's going to improve, especially like, as you said, with Diggs just drawing so much attention. Now you have to put a safety over there, sometimes a linebacker as well. So that's just going to open up more opportunities for Hunter Henry, Hooper, uh, and also Kayshon Boutte, man. I think that was the best thing for me, was to see the offense really push the ball down the field. And with the ability for them to push the ball down the field, that offensive line. I mean, we got 2 rookies on the left side with Campbell and Wilson. Bradbury was there was some uncertainty about Bradbury,
Yeah.
especially in training camp going into the start of the season, but he's done a phenomenal job. He's done a phenomenal job right there on the center, helping out Drake, calling out blitzes, and Moses and Owenu on the right side. I mean, that's really one of the things I've been impressed with the most. I mean, is that offensive line. And there were questions for sure going into the season. Their pass protection has been incredible, absolutely incredible, keeping Drake upright. One concern I would say is the run game. Run game. Drake, led our team in rushing on Sunday.
Another week. Another week where that happens.
exactly. Another week of and that was really just that one big run on the right side. Outside of that, we really didn't get a lot of splash plays on the ground. So that's what I would hope to see more, especially maybe in this game coming up against Tennessee. Defensively, they gave up that big play to Shaheed.
Yeah.
First, I was like, oh man, and we didn't have Hawkins out there. He was out with the injury. Kyle Duggar, been there for a while, but in this scheme, in this defense, not as successful as he was in years past. So he's been struggling, but we held it down in the second half. We made the plays we needed to make. Should have had two turnovers with Marcus Jones forcing the fumble. Well, we thought it was a forced fumble, but it ultimately wasn't. And Christian Ellis, I mean, big play in the fourth quarter, forced fumble on Juwan Johnson, recovered by Craig Woodson. And it's just, like you said, opportunistic defense. They're going to stop the run. You know that for a fact. That's something that Mike Vrabel has really honed in, even since his time in Tennessee. They're stopping the run. So that's always been good. Just sometimes those plays down the field is something that we could struggle with. But the secondary with Gonzalez, Davis, and Jones there in the nickel, it's going to be tough to stop us. You got 2 shutdown guys, and the way Jones has been playing this year in this defense, I've been impressed. So, tale of 2 halves. It was great in the first half. All right, and only 3 points in the second half. We did just enough to get the dub, and hopefully going throughout the season, they continue to improve.
Exactly. Totally agree.
All right, we talked about it a little bit. I just wanted to talk about Kayshon Boutte. I mean, his journey with us has been rocky. Probably the best way to describe it. Late round pick, even though he's had a first round talent, did with some things off the field. Had an interview, the post game interview this weekend, just talking about the things that he's gone through, a maturation process as a man. I think that's the key thing before anything stepping out to the field is how you're getting better as a person. And I think we're starting to see him. We're starting to see everything come together just in his life, and then it's also playing out on the field. He's getting so comfortable in this offense. You know, people talk about trading for a wide receiver, but I see his game. His game really reminds me of, you know, AJ Brown. Really, just the hands. He's able to catch everything. Just really catch everything. Even last year, I mean, Drake May's first touchdown of his career was to Kayshon Boutte. So
Yeah.
the chemistry was there from the jump. Had some injuries early on, but where do you see Kayshon going forward, and what do you think he could be? Could he be a Pro Bowl guy, maybe All Pro down the road as him and Drake continue to, you know, develop?
Yeah, look at it right now, and I think that realistically he can be a wide receiver too. Now, like you alluded to, he did have that first round hype leading into the 2023 draft, but dealt with injuries that season. That tanked his stock. Some off the field issues also tanked his stock, and then a bad combine due to those injuries also tanked his stock, and so he ultimately drops to the 6th round. I don't think that even if he was a first round pick, he ever would have lived up to being a wide receiver 1, but I do think he can be a decent wide receiver 2. I think when looking at this current Patriots offense, if you're looking at trading for a wide receiver, you have to get a bona fide wide receiver 1. You don't need another wide receiver 2. You don't need another wide receiver 3. You don't need another wide receiver 4. I feel like this team is stacked with that. I feel like they have everything figured out other than that bona fide number 1 guy that can kind of dictate that coverage and you can go to in that moment of need. And so I think if you can go out, like you alluded to, and you can get maybe like an AJ Brown, or you can somehow get one of these wide receiver 1s, then you certainly go out and you do that. And I think if that's the case, then you have, let's say, for instance, they go out and get AJ Brown. AJ Brown would be your wide receiver 1. Stephon Diggs is your wide receiver 2. And then Kayshon Boutte would be your wide receiver 3. But looking in terms of, you know, down the line and looking in the future, because we know Stephon Diggs isn't the future here in New England. He's kind of more of that bridge piece to what the Patriots are going to, you know, find at their wide receiver 1 in the future. And I think Kayshon Boutte can be that complimentary number 2 guy. I think that because they don't have that bona fide number 1 guy, you do have Kayshon Boutte out there getting the most snaps out of any Patriots wide receiver any single week because he has that chemistry with Drake Maye. That was the first wide receiver that Maye had that connection with coming into the NFL. His first touchdown was to Kayshon Boutte. That play against the Houston Texans last season down the sideline against Derek Stingley Jr. going into halftime. I forget if it was to tie the game or to make it 1 possession. I think it was to tie the game. And so you see that connection there. But I also think that the reason that you have Kayshon Boutte out on the field so much is not just because of the connection, but he also fits the style of wide receiver that Drake Maye works so well with. And that is a guy who's really good in contested catch situations and has a really good catch radius. You look at it, Mike Vrabel, during his introductory press conference, when they were talking about free agency and whatnot, he alluded to getting help for Drake Maye. And the exact type of guy that he said was getting guys around Drake Maye that are good in contested situations and have a large catch radius. And that's exactly what Kayshon Boutte is, which is why I think he's thriving as much as he is. I think what prevents him from being a wide receiver 1 ultimately comes down to the consistency. One game, we'll see Kayshon Boutte go out for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then the next 2 weeks, we'll see him have a combined 20 yards. And so I think that's ultimately what does keep him back. I think he's a pretty decent run blocker, but it just comes down to, is he someone that you can rely on every single week? I don't know. I think that is still something that certainly needs to be improved upon. But like you also said, he's gotten better every single year, not just from a football standpoint, but just from a mature standpoint, from his mentality. And so with that factor in mind, it's really exciting to see what those players can do as each year passes. Because if Kayshon Boutte is on this upward trajectory and he's just going to get better every single year, then maybe there is a world, as crazy as it sounds, where he can be like a low-end wide receiver 1. So this guy is definitely high for Kayshon Boutte, but I think it all comes down to consistency.
Absolutely, consistency, and again, this is year 1 in Josh McDaniels' offense.
Yeah,
for everybody, really, just other than Ramondre, is really the only one that was in that offense. So it's just, for his style of play is perfect, and for him to be so dependable in situational football, 3rd down. Look at that back shoulder catch he caught on the left side against New Orleans. That was just, you know, one of the plays of the game. You know, if you want to rank, you know, one of the top plays of that game, that catch was big. It was big because it was definitely some stagnant possessions on offense for New England, and for him to make that play was incredible. Keep both feet in bounds, like you said. I don't know what the referee was on. You know, Andrew.
Trying to say he went out of bounds.
I don't know what they were on Sunday, but Vrabel challenged it. and then it'll be successful. And yeah, I mean, I think I think he could be. I think he could be a wide receiver one. I think in due time. Now it's in McDaniel's offense and just how watching the offense for the last 2 decades with Tom, there were other than really Edelman and Gronk. Tom had the two. It was Edelman and Gronk. Those were the top two guys, but there used to always be a revolving door of wide receivers. Lloyd, Amendola, Deion Branch was there, then left, came back. Brandon LaFell, all these type of guys that tried to be like a wide a X or a Y. But the thing with me that I'm happy about is you have a young wide receiver and a young quarterback. Something that we didn't really have with Tom. Gronk came later. Edelman came later. Tom was already. He was already throwing 50 touchdown passes to Moss or 50 touchdowns to Moss and guys like that, and Welker. So now in this situation where the offense is so young, they're already grasping the offense so quickly. I think over time, in a year or two, I think he could definitely be up there. See, we got an LSU wide receiver. I mean, that's always going to trend in the perfect direction when you got those type of guys. They always produce, and I think we got one too. I'm not going to say he's going to be as special as Chase and Jefferson. We'll see. Only time will tell. But when you have the quarterback, that always helps. And just with his mentality and with the players around him, I think he's definitely going to succeed.
Hey man, I hope. All
right, Drake Maye, year 2. Last year, Mayo, Van Pelt, first-time coaches. First time for Van Pelt calling plays on offense. First time head coach for Gerard Mayo. Offensive line, inconsistent. Not the best situation for a rookie quarterback, but he still made it work, made a lot of plays. Going into year 2, bringing in Josh McDaniels, someone who's proven, someone who knows this organization, has won multiple championships as a play caller with the Patriots. His connection and his relationship with Drake Maye has been incredible so far. From what you've seen, what do you think?
I think we're getting to the point with Drake Maye where this is the expectation. I think that every single week we're like, oh my gosh, wow, for like 30 minutes, like, let's talk about Drake Maye. He's balling. He's great. He's this, he's that. And it's just like, yeah, he is. And he deserves all this praise. Like, please don't get me wrong. But I think we're getting to the point where he's doing this every single week. And he's getting better every single week to where that's how you know you got a franchise quarterback. That's how you know you got one of the best in the league. When you can just sit back and say, oh, yeah, our quarterback just threw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, but like that's just what he does. And I think we're getting to that point with Drake Maye. I think that last year you saw the potential. And I think that not enough people talked about it league-wide because of, one, his turnovers. It was a major problem. You turn the football over, people are not going to talk about the positive plays you make. But 2, the Patriots only won 4 games on the season. People tend to not talk about star players on teams that ultimately don't win games, especially at the quarterback position, because people like to believe that wins are a quarterback stat, which they're not. They are a team stat at the end of the day. And so I think heading into this season, I knew that Drake Maye had all the potential to be a star. Coming out of that draft in 2024, Drake Maye had the highest ceiling. There was no doubt in my mind. Some people thought that Jaden Daniels did. I thought that Jaden Daniels had the highest floor because he was an older quarterback. He had several years to develop. Drake Maye was a COVID kid in high school, so he didn't get a lot of time to develop as a quarterback in high school. Then in college, he didn't get a whole lot of time. He was still very young heading into the draft. He was, 21 years old? So you looked at Drake Maye as this big ball of clay that he shows so much potential to be easily a top 5 quarterback in the league, but there was boom or bust potential depending on where he went and the development that he had. Last year, when you looked at Alex Van Pelt, I thought Alex Van Pelt was really good at figuring out what quarterback should have been drafted by this organization. I thought he was good at developing Drake Maye with his mechanics, but I thought when it came to game day and consistently putting Drake Maye in an offensive system that fit him well and put him in a position to succeed and designing the offense around him and consistently calling plays correctly, I think that's where Alex Van Pelt simply struggled. And then you get into this year and you have Josh McDaniels. And Josh McDaniels has so much experience working with several different quarterbacks throughout his time in the NFL. Tom Brady, Cam Newton, Derek Carr, Mac Jones. I mean, that's just to name a couple, not to mention the fact that he's worked with several different organizations. He's worked with the New England Patriots for 20 years. He worked with the Denver Broncos as a head coach. He worked for the Raiders as a head coach. Before he was an offensive coordinator and then a head coach, he had worked with several different positions on the offense, including working as a quarterback's coach. And so I think with getting Josh McDaniels back, you see him tailoring this offense around Drake Maye, tailoring the offense around his strengths, but Drake Maye's also getting an offensive coordinator that can still develop him as a quarterback. And I think that was the big thing heading into 2025 when we found out that Alex Van Pelt was going to be fired and Drake Maye was going to get a different offensive coordinator. You look at Maye so far this season, he's top 5 to top 10 in like every single statistical category. He's one of the most clutch quarterbacks. He's the best quarterback on 3rd and 4th down. I think that Drake Maye is simply in the conversation for MVP. He is certainly top 5. We're talking about guys like Patrick Mahomes. We're talking about guys like Baker Mayfield. We're talking about guys like Josh Allen being at the top of that list. If you look at the statistics, Drake Maye is very identical, if not better than some of those quarterbacks that we just listed. So he's playing turnover-free football over the last few weeks. That's an area that he's gotten significantly better at. We're seeing him get the ball out quickly. I think we saw earlier in the season that it was very conservative, take the checkdowns, not pushing the ball down the field a whole lot. But this past week against the Saints, we saw that Drake Maye started to push the football down the field a little bit more. In fact, according to PFF, he was the best deep passer in the NFL this past week. And that's where Drake Maye thrives, is pushing that football down the field. And so now that he's getting comfortable dinking and dunking and taking the profit, now we start opening up the playbook and saying, let's do what you do well, and let's start pushing the football down the field a little bit. So I thought Drake Maye's ascension has been absolutely amazing. And I think if he continues to be on the upward trajectory that he's on, the New England Patriots are definitely going to the playoffs. And who knows, maybe they can even make a playoff push. But it is all dependent on Maye.
All dependent on 1,000%. I saw a Pat McAfee interview with Todd Christensen. He was worked with North Carolina before. It was like right after we drafted Maye, and he had worked with Peyton Manning, a lot of great quarterbacks throughout his time in the NFL. And they were talking about Maye, and he was saying he has everything. He has all. I think he also worked with Andrew Luck in Indianapolis also, and he said he has all the goods. He's perfect. Great leader, great intangibles. The talent is just through the roof, and for him to already be so polished and have the poise at such a young age is incredible. That gave me some. Yeah, it was definitely something I was okay. All right, let's see what he got. Let's see what he got. And in rookie season, it was some trials and tribulations as there's going to be. I mean, Jaden Daniels, C.J. Stroud, those guys had anomaly seasons, and their Justin Herbert, they had anomaly seasons in their rookie year. It's rare that you see the RG3 at some points. Second year, a more established OC. For me, I think it's his ability in the pocket. Some quarterbacks, especially some young quarterbacks, these defenses, they're going to try to blitz, they're going to try to send pressure, they're going to disguise stuff up front and make things confusing for him. But I just look at the way he's able to prepare. His preparation has been incredible so far this season. It's never phased. There were some times in the game on Sunday where it looked like, Chase Young almost about to get him, and then just a little flip pass to the Travion Henderson. It's a magician. It's just so comfortable. Nothing really, exactly. Yeah, a little bit of Pat Mahomes. A little bit. He has a mix of most of these quarterbacks. I know people want to just attach it to Allen because of the running ability. I don't necessarily see it's similar, but Allen is more like he'll like truck you, like in the open field. Maye is, he'll be a lot more smart with the football this year. You talked about keeping two hands on the football as well in the pocket, not trying to do too much because the fumbles were a little bit of an issue his rookie season, and I'm glad that's something that he's cleaned up. Sky's the limit, man. I think his potential is limitless, especially with being so young and already being so good. He has some receivers around him, but he has a security blanket in Henry. The tight end is a quarterback's best friend. Few red zone. He has 3 consistent red zone threats. So once we're able to get down there, you really don't know where the football is going to go. in McDaniel's offense, it's not just, focus on one wide receiver. It's get everybody else involved. And it's just it helps him process the defense better. He's gonna be dangerous, man. He's gonna be dangerous. I had him throwing 32 touchdowns before the season started, and I feel like I think he's on pace to doing that. The rushing yards will also come as well, just because when you're moving the ball down the field so much, the defense, you forget that he has the ability to run. And you can do a couple RPOs, read options, catch a defense slip, and they're shifting all the way to one side. He keeps it, and it's an automatic touch. So, man, I think the MVP discussions for sure. I mean, it's really wide open right now in the first quarter or so of the season, and he's definitely put his name in that conversation.
Agreed.
Trade deadline is coming up in a few weeks. There were discussions about us getting a wide receiver first few weeks of the season. Those talks are it's kind of died down. It hasn't really been a discussion as much as it was, I would say maybe like 3 or 4 weeks ago. What do you think the Patriots should be looking at to improve this team going forward this season?
Doesn't it feel good to just be having this as a real conversation? Because I don't know, I just feel like ever since 2020, I mean, I guess you can include 2021 as a little bit of an anomaly, but they kind of fell off there, at the end of the season. But really, ever since Brady left, this really hasn't been a real question. It's no, ship off the pieces that you're getting offers for and get draft compensation to rebuild this team in the offseason and try to get this thing started back up from the bottom up. And now it's a real conversation. And if I'm going to be honest, I think the Patriots should be doing both. I think they should be looking to buy, but I also think that there's a world in which they should be looking to sell. When I'm looking at guys that they should be buying, I'm looking at edge rusher, I'm looking at running back. There was a report, I forget who exactly it was by, that the Patriots were monitoring the wide receiver market. And then Tom Pelissero came out and said the Patriots are exploring the market for running back and edge. They're expected to keep an eye, is what he said, on the wide receiver market, but don't expect them to be aggressive. What this says to me is expect the Patriots to potentially make a move at edge and running back, but they're only going to make a move at wide receiver if a wide receiver one becomes available, aka AJ Brown. I don't see the Patriots going out there and trading for Jacoby Myers. I don't see them going out there and trading for another depth guy. They have all those guys. We have such a crowded wide receiver room that we haven't even seen Efton Chisholm. We haven't even seen Kyle Williams. And so unless you're bringing in a bona fide wide receiver one, like we talked about earlier, I just don't see the team doing that. And so I look at the issues with the running game. I think part of it is definitely on the offensive line. Part of it is also on the running backs. I think Ramondre Stevenson, he's struggling because he's so in his head about not fumbling that as soon as he reaches contact with a defender, his immediate thought is, let me go down, let me protect the football, instead of just playing instinctively and playing like Ramondre Stevenson, who can truck a few defenders, who can shake off a few tackles. And then Travion Henderson, he's a rookie, and he's having those rookie moments, and we're seeing that. He's running straight into defenders. He's not hitting the proper holes. He's not being patient in the backfield. And so looking for a running back a veteran running back at that can do some of these things and can maybe make the Patriots the 20th to 22nd best rush offense in the league and not make them dead last, I think would be a big help. As for edge, Arden Key, I believe is his name, from the Tennessee Titans. We'll see him this week. That's a name that I'm certainly looking for. He's been floated around in some trade discussions, has experience with Mike Vrabel, could give them some extra depth at pass rush off the edge. I think we're very, very confident about what we see from the interior of this D-line. But as for the edge, it's a little bit rough. Those guys have definitely been inconsistent, and you're dealing with injuries. You had Harold Landry, who's done very, very well this season, but goes down with a very scary injury this past week. Ultimately does come back and all looks fine, but he's on the injury report. Kayvon Chason missed a game 2 weeks ago against I believe it was against the Buffalo Bills. He's been dealing with injuries. Keon White's been dealing with injuries. He hasn't played the last couple of weeks. Anthony Jennings didn't play this last week because he's dealing with injuries. So edge is certainly a place that I'm looking for the Patriots to add to try and just staple the trenches, because we know that that's where the Patriots want to win defensively. They want to win in the trenches, and they want to win with pass rush. So bolstering that would be absolutely big. As for potentially selling, man, if you can get anything for Keon White, okay, look, I know that I said that the edge position is, diminishing a little bit, but even when Keon White is getting on the field, he's not playing well. He's actually at the bottom in terms of pressure rate. In fact, it was one of the first games of the season and he got, 15, 20 snaps minimum, and he had a 0% pass rush win rate. He's going out there. He's not performing well. I think off the field, he's not a guy that fits this Vrabel system. He's quiet. He just seems like he doesn't want to be here. He's not performing. If you can get something for him, I would certainly look to trade him off. And then, look, I'm not saying I'm going to, because I think they do need depth at safety because of the injuries they are having. But if you get something good for Kyle Duggar, I also wouldn't necessarily be opposed to moving on from him. But you're going to give me like a 4th or 5th round pick for him, I'll probably say no. You maybe can convince me on a 4th, but other than that, like, to really make me feel confident about moving on from a guy like Duggar, it'd probably have to be like a 3rd round pick.
Yeah, running back and edge rusher, 1,000%. Those are the top needs for the Patriots. I agree with you there. Gibson going down, that was a big loss, not only just off the backfield for the running game, but also in the return game too. Cribbing a kick return against the Dolphins this year. That was a big loss. Stevenson in pass protection, he's been great. I mean, look at that play we talked about to Boutte. I mean, he was right there in the middle of that, protecting Drake, holding it down on that block. He's great at that. Travion Henderson, coming out of Ohio State, was also touted for being a great pass blocker as a running back. So that's one thing that I've been impressed with from those two guys. Pairing names like Breece Hall, looking at hasn't really had a lot of success with the Jets. I mean, the Jets haven't really had a lot of success, period, this year, but at all, really.
0-6.
Yeah. So they could be definitely buying and selling some guys. I see someone like Breece Hall could be an option for us. He's not really someone that he doesn't have breakaway speed, but he's really like a one cut back. But if he gets that hole, he gets that alley, he could definitely break out and get some good runs. Would be great to add him to the fold. Edge rusher. I mean, I feel like we've been asking for an edge rusher for years. I mean,
yeah,
really since
bona fide guys.
Since like Chandler Jones was really the last like consistent guy we've had on the end. We could say, yeah, this guy's going to get 10 plus sacks every single year. Trey Flowers had a couple, he had a couple good seasons here and there, but it wasn't to the level of like a Pro Bowl type guy. Harold Landry the third looked great the first few weeks. Kind of came down a little bit because of the injuries. Keion White is really confusing one, because the first few weeks last year we were raving about him. We thought he was really going to turn the page and become a premier edge defender for us. Hasn't really worked out in this Zach Kerr, Mike Vrabel offense. So I don't know if the Bengals, maybe they want to sell Hendrickson or one of these other teams that are not winning a lot of games. They feel like they want to maybe get some assets on the back end in return for one of these premier guys that they have on their roster. Vrabel said he's going to be aggressive. Just because we have a positive record on the record doesn't mean you just not improve or get better for the roster. So that's one thing. And that's also one thing I like too about Vrabel is, for Belichick, you used to just get the one-word answers, the one sentences, but now you're just getting, you start to see Vrabel's personality even when he's answering questions at the press conference. So I think, edge rusher, safety as well. I mean, Woodson and Hawkins have done a great job. A lot of people were up in arms when we got rid of Peppers, but they've held it down tremendously. But it doesn't hurt to have another guy out there that is that is a position where guys usually get hurt and have some injuries. So if you're able to add some depth at the safety position, never hurts. Those would be the three for me. Man, it's a good time. It's a good time. We can have discussions about who can we bring on to put us from just a potential division winner or to a true playoff contender.
Yeah, man. I mean, just look at those Tennessee Titans, man. I'm telling you, look at those Tennessee Titans at the trade deadline as they start selling off pieces. Could they get Hooker? Could they get the safety there from the Titans? Maybe bring him over to New England. You never know.
Man, that'd be great. There were discussions earlier. I mean, obviously not going to happen now because Barmore and Millen they're just so
They're dogs.
dominant. They're so dominant in the trenches for us. One of the best interior D-line duos in the league. That's not biased. The facts provide that as well. It's I'll take one of those guys in Tennessee, no question.
Yeah, I agree.
No
Agreed.
Looking at the landscape of the AFC East, the New England Patriots are first place in the AFC East for the first time since 2021. Great. It feels amazing to say that after some down years. In week 6, the Bills, the Jets, and the Dolphins lost. Dolphins lost to the Chargers. Bills had a disappointing loss to the Falcons on Monday Night Football, and the Jets lost to the Broncos on a late game. I think it was 13-11 in that London game earlier in the morning. What's your thoughts on these 3 teams, and how do you see it playing out for each team, not just next week but going forward?
When it rains, it pours for Buffalo. I mean, boy, oh boy, they're talking about going undefeated. They lose to New England. It's all this talk about the refs. And then a week later, they lose to the Falcons. So, look, Patriots are number 1 right now, and they are the only team in the AFC East that is undefeated in the AFC East. Obviously, Buffalo losing to the Patriots. Miami also lost to the Patriots. And then, well, the Jets, they're just 0-6. So, as for the Jets, I think they'll be lucky to win a single game this season. It looks rough. I think they got their own Gerard Mayo with Aaron Glenn. Half the fan base is divided. Do you move on? Do you not? I think that they just want kind of what we wanted with Gerard Mayo, where it's like, this is a guy that used to play here. He was a fan favorite at the time, and you just want it to work so bad. But at some point, you got to be realistic and say it's just simply not working. So the Jets are going to jet, and that's exactly what they're doing right now. Miami, man, they're going to be having a fire sale at this trade deadline and at the end of the season. They're going to be entering a brand new system for 2026, brand new front office, brand new head coach. When your fans are using their hard-earned money to buy planes that have a little sign on the back telling you to fire your general manager and head coach, things are getting pretty bad. And they're doing that for like every single home game. So I think that they just need to have a complete reset. I think they're going to. I don't expect Miami to be good in 2026 because it will be year 1 of a brand new rebuild. But I think they have to hit that reset button. You look at the Patriots being number 1 right now, obviously being number 1 because they have the same record as Buffalo and they have that tiebreaker over them. But the Patriots would not only be number 1 in the AFC East, but the New England Patriots would be number 1 in the AFC if they just won that game against Pittsburgh. If they didn't shoot themselves in the foot, they didn't turn the football over 5 times. Damn, if they just turn the football over 3 times, the Patriots win that game. They're number 1 in the AFC East, and they're number 1 in the AFC with the number 1 seed and a projected first-round bye in the playoffs. So you see that this is going to come down to the wire. I want to say that the Patriots are going to win the AFC East, but I also do want to be realistic and say that that's not the expectation for this season. I think that the expectation for New England in 2025 was to at least double their win total from the last 2 seasons. If they could get to 8 or 9 wins and show promise as the season progresses, to me, that was a successful season. I was not expecting to win the division. I was not expecting to go to the playoffs. I was not expecting to win a playoff game. I think if they get to 8 or 9 wins and they're progressing as the season goes along, then anything after that is just simply house money. I think the Patriots are going to be in the run for the division. Right now, they hold their own fate. Buffalo is looking down right now, but we've seen this from Buffalo before. We're not even at the halfway mark of the season. There's a lot of football to still be played yet. The Patriots have a massive, massive matchup coming out of that bye week against Buffalo in New England. Okay, they had the opportunity to win the division in 2021. What happened? They went into that bye week with a bunch of steam coming off of like a 7 or 8 game win streak, and then they came out and totally collapsed on themselves. So I kind of have a little bit of PTSD from that season. I want to see that this team can get better and better as each week goes on, that they're not going to collapse on themselves as time goes on. Right now, I do still think it is Buffalo's division to ultimately lose, but New England is certainly in the running. And if they do want to win it, they have the hot hand, right? All you got to do is continue to win.
Continue to win, defeat the teams you're supposed to defeat, like the Saints, hopefully like the Titans coming up here on Sunday, and take care of business, and everything else will fall out perfectly. The Jets, yeah, I mean, I think they're cursed. I really feel like they're cursed ever since that Joe Namath claim back in Super Bowl III. They've never been able to find a quarterback. They had a couple solid ones here and there, but we're never able to find that consistent guy, that true franchise guy. This season, man, Justin Fields is stopgap quarterback. Aaron Glenn, I mean, I don't know, man. That's just it's possible. I mean, listen, the Titans just got rid of Callahan, so your job is never safe. Your job is never safe. It's really a cutthroat league, not just for the players, but also for coaches as well. When you're putting out an 0-6 product, and people are saying you potentially, not win a game for the next, 4 or 5 weeks. That's concerning. That's concerning if you're a fan. So they really have to look inward and see like what do we have. Who are the leaders? Who are the true leaders on that team? Like, keep losing like the way they are losing is troubling, not just from a coaching standpoint, I think from a player standpoint as well. So, when they do whatever move they make, they need to make sure the guys that are left have the right mindset going forward and are ready to take on, whatever challenges that's going to come for years to come for that organization. The Bills, they've been the big dog. They've been the big dog for the last 5 years, blasting us. I mean, ever since that game ever since that divisional game, 47-17 in Buffalo. It's been downhill for us, and they've been on a trajectory that's been at the top of the division. So I think they're still going to be there. I think they're another team. I think they're a team that should be looking at a wide receiver at the trade deadline. They definitely need a wide receiver one. Like Shakir is good, but he's really a two. And they're just loading up the box and stopping James Cook. That's really we stopped James Cook and said, let someone else beat us. And they didn't have any answer. Dawson Knox, Kincaid, I mean, they're okay, but they're not really game changers at the tight end spot. It's really just Josh Allen and
everyone else.
That's it. Yeah, everyone else. So once the defenses really start, you have a really solid defense that could hone in and take away some of those players that Allen's accustomed to going to. They're going to struggle, and that's why they struggled against Atlanta on Monday night. Dolphins, really the same thing, just like the Jets. I mean, Tua, they gave Tua all that money. They gave him the extension. I never saw elite with Tua. I know he has a positive record against the Patriots, but that doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things because we weren't good. So that didn't mean much to me. He's kind of on the shorter side, so he's never I never saw him ever be an elite. They put Waddle and Hill around him to kind of help. The run game was never consistent as maybe I think some Dolphins fans thought, especially with McDaniels being the run game coordinator in San Francisco before he got to Miami. That A-Chain is in and out of the lineup. He's been hurt, and they really just have a revolving door of guys in the backfield. Yeah, Chris Greer. Yeah, I think Ross is going to make a move and probably clean house. I agree. They had that flash in the pan playoff season a few years ago. Lost to Buffalo. Now like Skylar Thompson quarterback. So, that was a rough one. that was rough. That was rough. So they got a lot of soul searching to do. The Fins and the Jets have a lot of soul searching to do as an organization. And for Buffalo, I mean, they lost 2 in a row. It's a bump in the road, but they got 17. So whenever you got that guy back there, you got the MVP. You're always going to have an opportunity to win and go far throughout the season.
Yeah.
Last but not least, we got Week 7 preview. Tennessee Titans. Mike Vrabel going back to his old stomping grounds. Got an update on my phone. I'm saying, what? Titans fire Callahan, Ryan Callahan.
Yep.
Head coach, had an abysmal win-loss record with Tennessee. A lot of it not his fault, but that's just the way the cards were dealt. What do you see from this team? I know they're 1-5. Rookie quarterback Cam Ward, some splash plays, but just really inconsistent because of the team around him. What have you seen from the Titans this year so far, and how do you think this game is going to play out for us against Patriots Titans?
Yeah, not only is it an interim head coach, but it's also going to be a backup offensive line coach because his dad was actually the offensive line coach for Tennessee. And he's actually a prolific offensive line coach, like one of the better offensive line coaches we've seen of all time. And when his son was fired, he's like, well, I'm done coaching this team too. He ultimately ends up leaving. So I think this is going to be a big game where the Patriots are going to have the opportunity to also get to Cam Ward and put the pressure on even more than what's already been seen from that Tennessee Titans team. I mean, Cam Ward's been sacked 25 times so far this season, now heading into week 7. So with that being said, I expect that to be even worse with the rest of the season looming. And I think that this is just going to be a game where Mike Vrabel and Stretch, they are motivated to win. This is a team that they were fired from and wrongfully fired from. This was a team that Mike Vrabel was let go of, not because he was doing anything wrong, not because there were issues in the locker room, but he was fired because they did not like how close he was to the New England Patriots organization. They didn't like him coming back to New England, having that halftime speech when he was introduced in the Patriots Hall of Fame, and they let him go. In fact, it's a funny story because the Titans owner, their daughter actually went to the ownership and was like, what are you doing? What are we doing? Why are you letting him go? This makes absolutely no sense. And now we've clearly seen that it was a massive mistake by Tennessee, and they ultimately just got in their feels. This is a game that the Patriots should win confidently. Offensively for Tennessee, there's not really much that I can say I'm all that worried about. I think defensively is where you certainly will have some of your better plays. I mean, I think that secondary isn't a slouch for Tennessee if healthy. They got some guys on the interior of that defensive line that will definitely give the Patriots interior of the O-line and some of these younger guys definitely a little bit of the works. But I'm just looking at the numbers here, and the Tennessee Titans offense is averaging 150 pass yards per game. You think the New England Patriots run game is bad? The Tennessee Titans are averaging 81 rush yards per game. They've given the ball away 10 times. They've, like I said earlier, they've allowed Cam Ward to be sacked 25 times this season. They're converting on third down 28% of the time, and they're only scoring about 13 points per game. This is a New England Patriots defense that, like we said earlier, bend but don't break. They have some inconsistencies, but I think that pass rush is going to be ferocious. I think it's going to get home quick. I don't think Cam Ward's going to get the ball out, within a split second to his receivers. I think that this is going to be a really, really good game for this Patriots defense. I think they're going to get multiple sacks. I think they're also going to get a turnover or two on top of that. And on top of that, too, you look at the injury report, and there's multiple injuries for this Tennessee Titans team. And New England has injuries of their own. But, I mean, for a second straight day, Calvin Ridley not participating. Arden Key, who I talked about earlier, the edge rusher, he didn't participate. DeMontre Jones was now added to the injury report with a knee injury. He did not participate. And we can go on and on and on. L'Jarius Sneed, he didn't practice yesterday. He was upgraded to a limited participant today. So potentially some of their star players also not playing in this game. This New England Patriots offense, I think, is getting hotter as time goes on, and they're much better than what Tennessee Titans offense is. Patriots are averaging 244 pass yards per game, 91 rush yards per game. They've given the ball away 7 times. Drake May's been sacked 18 times. Their third down efficiency is 41%, and the Patriots are averaging 25 points a game. So with that being said, I do think that at the end of the day, the New England Patriots are going to score a significantly more amount of points than Tennessee is going to be able to do. I think all you have to do is stop Tony Pollard, stop the run game, force Cam Ward to beat you through the air. And I think if that's the case, you feel very confident about your chances with a rookie quarterback, with an interim head coach, and a backup offensive line coach.
Offensively for us, I just want to see a complete game. Yeah. The first half against New Orleans was a lot of hype, and then kind of died down. I want to see a complete full 60-minute ball game of that offense. A lot of play actions. I think the run game. I think this could be a breakout game for either Ramondre or Travion, just because of the rush defense for Tennessee isn't great outside of Jeffrey Simmons in that interior. They're going to put Jeffrey Simmons on different parts of that offensive line. More than likely, probably have him matched up against Jared Wilson because he's the rookie. That's going to be a big battle. There'll be help. They'll definitely try to help him during that process. Doug Marrone's done a great job with that offensive line and getting those guys ready every single Sunday. So I'm not too worried there, but he is a threat. He's the best defensive tackle by the numbers and just by the way he's played so far this season. Denard Wilson, the Titans defensive coordinator, runs a lot of too high safety coverages. So again, that also opens up the run game for New England. I mean, something's got to give. Something's got to give. I just feel like this is really one of these games for Henderson or Stevenson to really get it going and have a breakout game. And when that happens, now that opens up the play action. We saw what two play action plays with Douglas. One for a touchdown, other one, of course, should have been a touchdown. It's going to open up the wide receiver. So as they play that too high, that zone, and Maye struggled last year against the defense. Same coordinator, had 3 turnovers in that game. I know we tied it up. The Houdini, game winner.
Ramondre Stevenson in the end zone, time expiring.
Crazy play. So there's some things that Maye can take from that loss last year and improve on and apply to this year and this week coming up against Tennessee. Check it down, take the singles. We got guys that could get yards after the catch. I think Hunter Henry is going to get back into the fold again. Had a real nice touchdown against the Panthers that led to a touchdown. Pop, Diggs, Hunter. I really think they're going to excel on Sunday because the zones are going to be there. Do a great job of just sitting in the zone, and with Drake's comfortability and his poise in the pocket, he's going to get the football to those guys in time. Defensively, yeah, again, just like I said, the run game is really going to step up. I think the pass rush. I think we're going to get to Cam Ward and really get a few more sacks than usual against this rookie quarterback in Cam Ward. I see it. And listen, I know they've been trying to downplay the Vrabel going back to Tennessee thing, but the guys in the locker room, they know. I mean, they know what's at stake. They know they want to get this stuff. They want to get this done for their guy, and I see it happen. I say two possessions. Don't want to go too crazy, but I think we. I think
you don't think it's gonna be a blowout.
I just want to see how the game goes. I want to see how the game goes. I'll just say right now, I'll say definitely a 2-possession game. Because I was a little shocked with the Saints game. I thought we'd win by more, and it didn't work out that way. So, and usually I think teams after their head coach are fired during the season are 17-16. So let's try to make that 17-17.
Yep.
Hey, Vero. Kobe, appreciate you for coming on, brother. Patriots Global, YouTube, Patriots Global 2 on X, and Patriots Global on IG. Everybody, please follow Kobe, man. He's doing a great job. One of the best in the Patriots media space for sure. If I missed any other outlets, where can the people find you?
Yeah, man, you did amazing. And I want to appreciate you for having me on too, man. First episode, you definitely got a bright future. Just certainly keep it up. Make sure y'all hit the subscribe button here for our boy too. Slam that like button. Use that YouTube hype feature to make sure we get our guy out there into the YouTube algorithm. But like you said, you can find me on Instagram at patriots.global. You can find me on YouTube at Patriots Global, Twitter at Patriots Global 2, and TikTok at Patriots Global. Always posting Patriots-related content and even some other NFL-related content also.
All right, guys, that wraps it up for this week. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Got a couple people on X. I'm sure some people from your channel and your platform as well that tuned in. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for the kind words, bro. That means a lot. It means a lot, man. See you guys next week. Everybody take care. Thank you.